There are seasons in life when you feel as though you're walking through a thick fog with no path, no applause, and no companion to tell you you're doing well. You move forward quietly, step after uncertain step, carrying the weight of promises no one else can see. The world around you hums indifferently, and not a soul seems to notice the small, invisible victories that keep you alive. You begin to wonder, what's the point of all this striving if no one bears witness to it? But you see, that's precisely where something marvelous begins to unfold. For when there's no one left to affirm your existence, life presents you with the most sacred invitation of all, to discover that you are already complete, already enough, and that the climb itself is the reward. Isn't it curious how we've been conditioned to believe that our worth depends on someone else's recognition? We go through life collecting approvals like stamps in a passport, as if each validation brings us closer to some destination called success or fulfillment. But here's the cosmic joke, and it really is quite funny when you see it. The destination was never out there. It was always right here, in this very moment, whether anyone's watching or not. You see, we live in a society that's got it backwards. We think we need someone to complete us, to validate us, to make us real. It's like believing you need a mirror to exist, as if you're not quite there unless someone reflects you back. But the truth, the deep truth that the mystics and sages have always known, is this: you are the witness and the witnessed, the observer and the observed, all at once. When you're walking through that fog with nobody beside you, what's really happening? You're being stripped of all the false supports you've been leaning on. And yes, it feels terrifying at first, doesn't it? Like the ground is falling away beneath your feet. But here's what most people miss. When the ground falls away, you discover you could always fly. You just never tried because you were too busy crawling, too busy looking around for someone to hold your hand. Loneliness, you see, isn't the problem. Loneliness is the teacher. Let me tell you about loneliness for a moment. We treat it like a disease, something to be cured or avoided at all costs. We fill every empty moment with noise, with television, with social gatherings, with anything to escape that awful silence. But what if, and stay with me here, what if that silence is actually trying to tell you something? What if it's not emptiness but fullness that you're afraid of? Because when you sit in that silence long enough, when you stop running from it, you begin to hear something quite extraordinary. You begin to hear life itself pulsing through you like a river. The Chinese have a wonderful concept called Wu Wei, which means roughly non-doing or effortless action. It's not laziness, mind you. It's something far more profound. It's the art of moving with life rather than against it. Like a sailor who understands the wind and doesn't fight it, but dances with it. And you can only learn this art when you're alone, when there's nobody to perform for, nobody to impress, because then, and only then, do you stop forcing things and start flowing with them. I'm reminded of a story about a man who spent years climbing a mountain, convinced that at the summit he would find enlightenment, recognition, some great reward for his efforts. He climbed through rain and shine, through doubt and determination. Nobody saw him, nobody cheered, nobody even knew he was climbing. And when he finally reached the top, exhausted and alone, do you know what he found? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, except the view. And in that moment of supreme disappointment, he laughed, because he suddenly realized that the entire point wasn't the summit at all. It was the climbing. Every step, every breath, every moment of effort, that was the reward. He'd been complete all along. You see, we've got this strange idea that life is going somewhere, that we're supposed to arrive at some future moment when everything finally makes sense and everyone finally sees our worth. But life isn't going anywhere. It's already here. It's always been here. You are life living itself right now in this form. Whether or not anyone's paying attention, the question isn't, will someone notice me? The question is, am I noticing myself? Am I paying attention to this miraculous fact of existence? Let's talk about this business of seeking comfort from others. Oh, we're terribly addicted to it, aren't we? Someone doesn't return our call, and we spiral into anxiety. Someone doesn't praise our work, and we question everything. We've made ourselves into emotional beggars, constantly holding out our tin cups, hoping someone will drop a coin of approval into them. But here's what nobody tells you. That cup has a hole in it. No matter how much approval you collect, it drains right out, and you're left empty again, searching for the next fix. The Buddhists talk about tanha, this thirst, this craving that can never be satisfied because we're looking in the wrong direction. We think we need someone else to soothe us, to make us feel okay, to tell us we're good enough. But what if you could be that someone? What if you could place your hand on your own heart and say, I see you, I hear you, you're doing just fine. Not in some narcissistic way, but with genuine compassion for this human being who's trying their best with what they've got. There's a profound maturity that comes when you stop outsourcing your emotional well-being. It's like growing up, really growing up for the first time. Children need constant reassurance from their parents, but adults, true adults, can give themselves that reassurance. They don't need mommy or daddy anymore. Whether in the form of actual parents or romantic partners or friends or bosses, they've become their own parent, their own source of stability. And paradoxically, when you reach that point, your relationships become deeper, more authentic, because you're no longer using people as emotional crutches. You're meeting them as equals, as fellow travelers, not as saviors. When you stop complaining, and I mean really stop, not just suppress it, but transcend the need for it, something shifts in your entire being. Complaining, you see, is a way of avoiding responsibility. It's a way of saying, this situation is doing something to me, and I'm helpless. But the truth is, nothing is doing anything to you. Life is happening, certainly, with all its chaos and unpredictability, but your response to it, that's entirely yours. That's your freedom. The ancient Stoics understood this beautifully. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These weren't just nice philosophical ideas. They were practices, ways of being in the world that transform suffering into strength. When you stop complaining about the rain and start dancing in it, the rain doesn't change, but you do. And that changes everything. Real validation, the kind that actually means something, can only come from within. When you seek it from others, you're giving them power over you. You're saying, you determine my worth, but nobody should have that power over you. Nobody. Not your parents, not your partner, not your boss, not society. Only you can determine your worth, because only you know the full story of your journey, the invisible battles you've fought, the small victories nobody sees. Think of it this way. Imagine you're a gardener tending a garden that nobody ever visits. Would you stop watering the plants? Would you stop pulling the weeds? Would you say, what's the point if nobody sees it? Of course not. You'd continue because the garden itself is the reward. The green shoots pushing through the soil, the flowers opening to the sun, the quiet satisfaction of nurturing life, that's enough. That's more than enough. Your life is that garden. Tend it well, whether or not anyone ever walks through it. When we talk about failure, and oh, how we fear it, we're really talking about our ego's fear of embarrassment. The ego wants to look good, to be seen as successful, to never stumble or fall. But life, in its infinite wisdom, keeps knocking us down. Why? Not to punish us, but to teach us that we're not the ego. We're something far more resilient, far more fundamental. You see, you can't really fail because there's nowhere to fall from and nowhere to fall to. You're already here. You've always been here. Every stumble is just another step in the dance. The Japanese have this beautiful art form called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted, celebrated even, because they're part of the object's history. The bowl is more beautiful for having been broken and mended. That's what failure does to a human being who understands its true nature. It doesn't diminish you, it enriches you. Every crack in your confidence, every break in your plans becomes a golden seam in the tapestry of who you are. But here's the thing about all of this. None of it works if you're waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is like the weather. It comes and goes. Some days it's sunny, some days it's pouring rain. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll spend most of your life waiting. What you need instead is discipline, but not the harsh, militaristic kind. I'm talking about a gentle discipline, a commitment to showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. You know what discipline really is? It's love. It's you today taking care of you tomorrow. It's understanding that future you will be grateful that present you didn't give up. When you wake up tired and you sit down to write anyway. When you feel discouraged and you take the next step anyway. When you're afraid and you move forward anyway. That's not willpower in some white-knuckle sense. That's you being faithful to your own unfolding, trusting the process even when you can't see the results. What if you could be content with being a mystery, even to yourself? Because the truth is, you're far too complex, too vast, too multidimensional to ever be fully understood by another person. And that's wonderful. The universe is not something separate from you that you need to understand or that needs to understand you. You are the universe, looking out through these particular eyes, thinking these particular thoughts, living this particular life. When you get this, really get it, the whole question of does anyone see me dissolves. Because you see yourself, and that seeing is the universe seeing itself. There's no separation, no gap that needs to be bridged by someone else's recognition. Picture yourself as a wave in the ocean. If the wave goes around asking other waves, do you validate me? Do you think I'm a good wave? Am I waving correctly? It's completely missed the point. The wave doesn't need validation from other waves because it's not separate from them. It's not even separate from the ocean. It is the ocean, temporarily taking this form we call wave. And when it crashes on the shore, it doesn't die, it returns to what it always was. You are that wave, and the ocean is this vast, inexhaustible life force that's animating everything. The trees, the stars, the person sitting next to you, and yes, you too. When you realize this, when you really feel it in your bones, the question of whether anyone's there for you becomes absurd, because everyone is you, and you are everyone. We're all waves in the same ocean, all notes in the same symphony, all expressions of the same fundamental energy that the Hindus call Brahman, the Chinese call Tao, and that I simply call this. So when you find yourself alone, climbing that mountain through the fog with nobody cheering you on, remember, you're not alone. You're alone, all one. You're the universe experiencing itself from this unique vantage point. And that's enough. More than enough. It's everything. The striving, the struggling, the wondering if it's all worth it, that's just life living itself through you. And whether anyone sees it or not doesn't change its fundamental value any more than a tree falling in the forest needs an audience to make sound. Get ahead, my friend, you were never behind. Rise up, you were never down. Be seen, you've always been visible to the only eyes that truly matter. the eyes of existence itself, looking out through your own face. So walk through that fog with your head high, not because you're proving something to someone, but because that's what waves do. They rise, they roll, they move forward, not because anyone's watching, but because that's their nature. And it's your nature too. Trust it, live it, be it. That's all there is, and that's everything.